Hello there, tank commanders of the Blitz universe. It's Major Dangle coming to you from USD1 today. And there is currently a bundle in store right now that inspired me to make a video or two about it. It's this Untamed Fury bundle. As you can see, it's available for the next 11 days from the time I'm making this video. It costs 12,500 gold, and you can see it includes the T26E4, the T26E5, and the T23E3 American tanks. All tanks come with their legendary camouflages. You get an avatar, 25 times 5 boosters, 3 garage slots, and all tanks come fully equipped. Now, I do think this is a pretty good deal. I like all 3 of these tanks. 12,500 gold is a pretty good deal in my opinion, but I would recommend the Storming bundle. This bundle costs 9,500 gold, and the only thing you're not getting compared to the Untamed Fury bundle is the 25 times 5 boosters, and you will not get the T23E3. Now, I do like the T23E3. It's a pretty fun tank. It has little to no armor. It has a pretty good accurate gun, not a lot of penetration or damage, but you got a 3-second reload. And again, it's a pretty quick tank. You got a 30 kilometer an hour reverse speed, 56 forward. It's pretty good, but it's nothing too special. You're not missing out on too much by not getting this tank in the bundle. And this tank is always available in the store anyways, so you can always get it at a later time. And that actually goes for all 3 of these tanks. They come to the store for sale quite often, so if you do miss out on this bundle, you will have another chance to get them. So the Storming bundle for 9,500 gold includes the T26E4, the T26E5, both legendary camouflages, an avatar, 2 garage slots, and both tanks still come fully equipped. I think this is the best option out of the 3 options here. So one thing I should note about this tank, this light on top, it does not come with the bundle. It does not come with the tank. It is a attachment that you can put on almost any tank in this game. After all, this tank is called the Sheriff, so I thought it deserved the light on top. Now, I like to keep my videos pretty short, so we are going to make a separate video on the T26E4 at another time. This video, we will focus on the T26E5. We can make our way over to Armor Inspector here. As you can see, I got the T26E5 loaded up. And as you can see, front on, this tank does not have the greatest armor, especially on the hull here. You do not want to be caught out in the open with the enemy looking at your hull with this tank. You can see it only has 212 millimeters of armor on the upper plate of the hull. The lower plate has 197 millimeters. The turret is pretty strong at 234 millimeters there, the size 281 millimeters, and of course around the gun 316 millimeters. You're not going to get penetrated there too often. Even the hatch on this tank, 244 millimeters, is pretty darn good. The turret is pretty strong on this tank. But just like any tank, if you're reloading or the enemy is shooting at you, I would recommend wiggle that turret back and forth, put your gun up in the air, move it around. It will make it a lot harder to penetrate you, and you will get a random bounce here or there. It does help. Or you could just move your whole tank back and forth like that. But the T26 is a hull down tank, just like a lot of American tanks. This tank features 10 degrees of gun depression. So if you play this tank correctly and you're poking over ridges, looking over rocks or hills, trying to shoot at the enemy team, this is what they're going to see if you play it correctly and you keep your hull hidden. So using that full 10 degrees of gun depression, you can see here the turret is almost impenetrable. 252 millimeters of armor. They're not even going to hit that hatch up there. If they did, it's 413 millimeters. The upper plate is 278 millimeters. It's still a little bit weak, but they should be barely seeing that in battle if you are hull down. Same with the lower plate. They should not see this in battle at all, the enemy team. At 147 millimeters, a lot can penetrate that. So again, use this as a hull down tank. Keep that hull hidden. And just like most tanks, the side armor and the rear armor are not great on this tank, but you shouldn't be showing your sides or the rear to the enemy team anyways. So we can go over to Blitz Stars. Another notable feature about this tank is the credit coefficient. You have a 175% credit coefficient with this tank. So you will earn pretty good credits with this tank in battle. So we can go back to the game here and take a look at the stats of this tank. And this tank features 1,872 hit points. We just went over the turret, or the armor. The turret has 191 millimeters in the front, 102 millimeters on the side, and 127 millimeters on the rear. The hull has 152 millimeters in front, 76 millimeters on the sides, and 51 millimeters on the rear. The gun on this tank is pretty darn good in my opinion, especially for a heavy tank. You have a damage per minute of 2,339, a pretty quick reload for a heavy tank at 6.16 seconds. Average penetrations of APCR rounds is 232 millimeters, heat rounds 299 millimeters, and HE rounds 49 millimeters. So the average damage for APCR rounds is 240 hit points, heat rounds 200 hit points, and HE rounds 270 hit points. You have a pretty good aim time at 3.8 seconds. And again, the gun depression limit is 10 degrees and gun elevation limit is 20 degrees. This is a pretty quick tank for a heavy tank. I like to call this tank a heavium. It can play medium side, it can play heavy side. Of course, it's not a frontline heavy, but it will do good playing both roles, medium or heavy. You have a top speed of 40 kilometers an hour forward, 15 in reverse, average speed of 32 kilometers an hour. Again, it's a pretty quick tank for a heavy tank. So we got a couple replays here that we could take a look at that will hopefully showcase how good this tank can be in the hands of even an average player like myself. So this first battle here, we got enemy team with a KV5, a Progetto CC55, an SU-130, a T26, a T77, SU-100M, and a silencer. They got a pretty solid lineup. I like quite a few of those tanks. The silencer, T77, T26, they're all really good tanks. I know that KV5 has really troll armor. And of course the SU-100 hits pretty darn good. Our team has an AMX-50, a Hori T44, T26E5, BK4502, SU-152, a T23E3. So on this map, I tend not to go to heavy side a lot. I like to go up to at least this center hill. If I'm on medium side, I will go medium side, but I like to go up to this hill here. And as you can see, I'm kind of keeping cover behind this rock, getting shots off at the enemy SU-100. He obviously wasn't the greatest player. He didn't know what to do in that situation. He was just getting badonkered. So I don't see any heavies over here, so they must be over at A. And I noticed the Progetto right behind me taking shots at me. So I decided to go help the medium side here with the T26E4. And now he's out of the battle. Now we can focus on the Progetto. And see there, we get a nice bounce. We're kind of hauled down here. He's going to have a hard time penetrating us here. And unfortunately, he backs up too far, so we do have to come over this hill to try to get more shots off on him. So he has an easier time penetrating us now that we're not hauled down. But you can see there, we still get a couple troll bounces. So we're getting some nice shots into the enemy Progetto there. With the nice 6-second reload, we have a pretty good reload on this tank. And right there, I should have been side scraping a little bit. I shouldn't have poked my side out like that. But that's all right. We're winning this trade here. We're a little bit down on health, but we still get the nice kill on the enemy Progetto. And the enemy team is down to 3 tanks. We still have all of our allies left. And now they're down to 2 tanks. The enemies have the KV5 and the T77. We're not sure where the T77 is at this point, so we're going to make our way over to this KV5 here And zooming in, you can see that armor on the KV5. It's very troll. It has very troll armor. So we miss our first shot, and unfortunately we miss our second shot there. I can be like a lot of players in this game and blame the game or blame RNG, but you know what? It was my fault. Just like that, running into my teammate, the SU-152. Wasn't really paying attention there, ran into him. But we get a nice bounce off the enemy T-77 right there. And all we're trying to do at this point is just get that extra damage out. So we know that T-77 is not going to last too long over there by himself. But you can see here how quick the T26E5 is. I mean, it's cruising along there pretty good at nice 30 kilometers an hour. Just trying to get that last shell out, but we don't. Our AMX takes out the enemy T-77. And that was a pretty good battle. So we get a nice victory off that. And we racked up 2,100 damage, 2 enemies destroyed, and a nice 1,200 block damage. Come out with a second class. We earn a nice 48k credits there, so not bad. Again, this is a good credit earning tank. Top on both teams, so again, not too bad. So the next battle we'll look at is Dynasty's Pearl here. Enemy lineup, we got an ST1, a WT, BC Barask, a Centurion, Emil1, T34-3, and a T28. Nothing I'm too terribly worried about. I know that WT has a pretty good gun. That Emil can do some damage, but again, nothing I'm too worried about. Our team has a Progetto C50, a T95, P44, a Progetto 46, T26E5, and a T34 TS60. So we got a pretty darn good lineup in my opinion. Now on Dynasty's Pearl, on death matches, you would normally, most teams go to medium side on deathmatch. If it's supremacy, you kind of want to make sure you go to heavy side and medium side so you can get those base caps. But as you can see there, I'd like to go up to that little stair there, and you can see that crossing there where the enemy heavies would cross. And I'm keeping an eye on that, but nothing's been spotted yet on medium side or heavy side. So what I'm doing here, crossing this big opening, is a little bit dangerous, but we make it through unscathed. So the enemy's heavies still haven't been spotted, and I'm getting a little impatient, so I decide I'm going to flank around and get the enemies from the backside. And sure enough, all of them are over on medium side. You've seen how fast we got around that map, though. This is a pretty quick tank for a heavy tank. The first enemy we see is the Emil1. We get a nice shot into the rear of him. We know he shot one shot already, so he has 2 left at least. We get a nice bounce off him. See, we're hull down here. He can't see our hull. He can't penetrate our turret. And that next shot, that was my mistake. If I wouldn't have backed up and angled like that, I probably would have got another bounce. But luckily, the Emil1 is now gone from the battle. We get a nice shot into the enemy T-34, and he's out of the battle as well. Next up, we got the T-28, and what a horrible tank that is. It's so slow. This guy's not even running camouflage. Our second shot into the T-28, we were trying to get a track shot just so he wouldn't get a shot on us. But luckily, we still bounced that shot because of the troll armor on the T26E5. Now we just noticed that the ST1 is AFK, so we're going to work on the WT here. And he's all alone. He gets a kill on one of our teammates here, but we get a nice track shot into him. And he knows it's over. He puts his gun into the air like a proud soldier and dies. So now we can make our way over to the enemy ST1, who again we know is AFK. So now we're just trying to rack up that extra damage. So, and there he is. We get a nice shot into the side of the enemy ST1 there. And at this point, we're just trying to block our own teammates from getting shots just so we can get the extra damage and hopefully the kill. But unfortunately, our teammate, the Progetto C50, gets the kill. but a win is a win either way. So again, another nice victory from the T25E6 or T26E5 rather. Second on team, not too bad. Uh, Earned 61,000 credits. Again, not too bad. 2,700 damage, second class. 2 tanks destroyed, 720 block damage. So I hope these replays kind of showed that this tank can be very good in the hands of an average player like myself. And in the hands of a good player, this tank could be very dangerous. So I think I covered all the basic stuff about this tank that I wanted to cover in this video. If I missed anything, please leave it in the comments. Please leave a like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.